Hello and welcome. We're going to be looking at Ielts writing, and let's start off immediately. So, the writing section of the IELTS tells how well you can use English to report information and express it. So, basically, they are trying to test your ability to write in English, your ability to organize your idea and give it out in English. So, this section lasts for 60 minutes and it has two parts, task 1 and task 2. So, let's look at these tasks. So let's look at tax one. For academic, there are two types of IELTS. You have the academic, those going for school. Then you have the general test, those going for work and migration. So for the academic, the tax one is comprising of graphs, table, diagram. So I'm going to give you an example of what this is like so that you understand better. So this tax one, you normally see a graph, table, or diagram. It could be a bar chart, pie chart, or the rest. So what are you expected to do for this tax one? You're expected to summarize and report the information in your own words. So it has to be in your own words. You have to summarize and report. So looking at the pie chart or the graph or the diagram, you're supposed to summarize and report the information in your own words. Now you may be asked to select and compare or describe the stages of a process for a diagram, or describe an object or how something works. So these are the things you're supposed to write about. So we're going to do a specific example for us to try this. Now, what about tax 2? Like I said, here is tax 1 and tax 2. This tax 1 lasts for 20 minutes. The total writing section is 60 minutes. So tax 1 is 20 minutes and this tax 2 is 40 minutes. So in tax 2, you're expected to write an essay. And you're writing this essay in response to a point of view or an argument or a problem. So you're going to be given a point of view or an argument on a problem and you'll be told to write an essay based on that. Now, issue raised are of general interest to the test taker. So the issue that will be raised could be something from culture, from the environment. It could be from anything. You understand? So you look at it and write an essay depending on what you are asked to do. Now the marks for these tax 2 is twice that for tax 1. Now if you're doing general training is for those going for work or migration. Academics is for those going for schooling. So if you are doing general training, your tax 1 will comprise of a letter, and this letter you can write in personal letter, semi-formal, or informal, or formal letter. Now, the letter you're going to write is going to be based on the situation presented. So you're going to be presented a situation, and you're going to be told to write an informal, semi-formal, or formal letter based on the situation presented. So we're going to take an instance of that. The letter could request information or explain a situation. So you can also be writing a letter that is requesting an information, maybe from your boss at work, or also explaining what is happening in the office. Now, tax 2 for people going for work and immigration, which is uh, going for work and migration, which is general training, will comprise of an essay. You will be expected to also write an essay, and you are writing this essay in response to a point of view or argument or problem. Now, the essay can be less formal in style than that of less formal in style with more personal things. You understand? More personal response than that of academic writing text. So in tax 2 you also do academic you also do writing in tax 2. So for this general writing is more or less formal than that of academic. So take note. And also here the score is also twice as that of tax 1. Now let's look at the tips and strategies. How do you go about answering your writing problems? How will you do it so that you can get very high score? Why are you undergoing this training? So you need to know these tips so that it will help you to write. So immediately after these tips, now we're going to go to a specific problem and solve it using the knowledge that we get from these tips. Now, no right or wrong answers or opinion. If you're told to support, if you're told to agree or disagree, a specific opinion in an essay. Whether you agree or disagree, provided you write well, provided you're able to organize your ideas effectively, you still get the thing. So it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. You will not say that the person that disagreed in the essay did the wrong thing or is going to fail, and you that agreed. No, no, no. Whether you are agreeing or disagreeing, make sure you make a cohesive point that is very understandable. That is what is important, because you are assessed on how well you can use English to report information and express or communicate ideas, not on whether you are either supporting or opposing the opinion. Number two, analyze the question carefully to make sure your answer addresses all points covered by the question. So make sure you analyze the questions carefully and make sure that the answer you're giving covers all the points needed in the question. Take note of that. Don't pick some and leave some. Cover all the points. Now, thirdly, be careful to use your own words, because words copied from the question will not be included in the word count. Like I said, uh, the word count, the limit, the minimum that you can do for tax 1 is 150 words. Take note. The minimum for tax 2 is 250 words. That's why tax 2 has more score than tax 1. So if you're writing, make sure you're not copying from the question, the words that are from the question. So that you have the minimum of 150 does not mean that it should be in 150. You can have like 160, is still okay. This 250, you can have like 260, 265, still okay. So be careful to use your own words, because words copied from the question, if you're using the words from the question, it will not be included in the word count by the examiner. Now note, use more than 150 words for tax 1. Like I said, more than one. It shouldn't be less than. Once it's less than 151 for tax 1, you will not get as much score as you have needed. Then also use more than 250 for tax 2, so that when the copied words are subtracted, the limit is not still uh, passed downward. Okay. Now, answers must be written in full. If you're writing, it has to be in an essay format, continuous writing. You don't have to put it in bullet point the way I'm putting it, or in notes form the way I'm organizing this my notes. So your answer has to be continuous, as if you're writing an essay. So take note. And finally, okay, arrange your ideas in paragraph. It has to be arranged in paragraph from one idea to the other to show that you are able to organize your main points and supporting points. So make sure it has to be arranged. Now, minimum word limit is 150 for tax 1, then 250 for tax 2. So take note of that. So let's take a sample now. Let's take a sample and look at the sample. So we are going to take, this is a sample question. The chart shows the percentage of men and women living in poverty divided into 10 different age groups in the United States in 2008. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main facts and making comparisons. So this is an example of a comparison problem. And this is the diagram, the chart. So if you look at this chart, this is representing male and female. So male and female in the different age groups. So we have how many age groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 age groups. So these are the percentage of men in poverty, 20, for women 21. So men and female. So this one is men, this one is female. So take note. Okay. So you're supposed to summarize the facts and figures from the graphical information. Now you're supposed to be able to show that you understand the big picture by identifying the main trends. That's what you're going to be looking at. When you look at this very chart that you're given, check out the main trends. That's the most important thing. Don't go about trying to explain them point by point, bit by bit. Just check about what is most important. You can see here that uh, here you have higher percentage from here to here, whereas from here down here you have lower percentages. So you have to take note of that. What can you easily understand? What can you easily see? You can also see that the having women in poverty are always higher than men. This is higher than this is higher than this is higher than this is higher than this is higher. So those are the kind of points, those are the kind of things you're looking at. So it has to be the bigger picture. That's what you try and understand. So show that you understand the big picture by identifying the main trends, major parts of the stages, important differences in the graphics. Don't analyze parts one by one, only relevant aspects. So like I say, you don't have to be talking about, you say under age, blah, 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 under this, blah, blah. You don't have to take it one by one. So look at the relevant and most important things. You can see that almost all females for all the different age groups, for all the 10 age groups, the female in poverty is always greater than the men in poverty. So that's a very general something. Now charts show This is shows. So whenever you're looking at charts show they normally show comparison of date at or comparison at a particular date at a moment in time or over a fixed period of time. So let's critically look at this and identify how we're able to write the answers. So this is the question and this is the chart. And what you're expected to do is to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So you're expected to make comparisons. So how do you go about tackling this problem? Now, in order for you to tackle this problem, the first thing, your first paragraph should be the general summary of the chart. So what is the general summary of this chart? That's the first thing. So this should be, if you're expected to have say um, 10, you're expected to have say 5 points. So this is how you get your point. So your first point should be the general summary of the chart. So once you look at this chart, what can you generally say about this chart? That's the first. That should be your first point. So that first point is that the chart shows a comparison between the percentage of men and women living in poverty in 10 different age groups in the USA in 2008. So that is your first point. So that is the first point. So what is the next point that you give now? The next point, in order to get it, look at other important aspects. So what are the next thing that you can see? The first thing you've said now is general summary about what the chart is saying. You're saying that the chart is a chart about comparison. You're comparing men and female over different ages. That's what you've written in this first one. So for the second point now, look for anything that is so glaring. And what I've identified that is so glaring is that the females are always greater than the men. No matter the age group, the female is always greater than that of the men. So that is the second point. So we say more females were in poverty than men in all ages, with lower rates for men and female in the mid age. So with lower, this middle is always is low compared to this up one. So this is another general thing that you can see about the different groups. So those are the things you have to take note of first. So what is the next point that you're supposed to write? Now you're supposed to note any outstanding high. Is there any major high? Is there any major high? That's how you get your next, the third point. So you can say the highest rates were under the age of 5 for both males and females at 20 and 21% respectively. So that is the outstanding high. So the highest rates are under 5. So you can see under 5, that's the highest. You can see this is highest. These other ones are low, low, low. None of them is as high as it. So that's why we say outstanding high. This is the highest point. So it's good you make mention of this highest point. And you can see that for female is for men is 20% and female is 21%. So how do you get your next point? Look for the outstanding low. So whether you're having a pie chart or a pie chart, these are just the things that you can look at in order to get very good points to make up your reporting or your essay. So the next one is outstanding low. Now here you can say that the lowest poverty rate for men were those age 75 and over are just over 5%. And for women, it was between 45 to those age range between 45 and 54 at 9%. So outstanding lows for men and for women. Okay, so you can see that this is the lowest for men at 75 and up, whereas for female, this is where we have 45 and to 54. So that is the point that is made here. Now you look at similarities. Is there any similarity you can get? Okay. The higher rates of poverty for both men and women were under age of 24. So you can see that under 24, there's always higher rates for male and female. You can see that they are very high here. So after these 24, these ones are lower. So you can see there is higher rates here. Okay. Then differences. Female had higher rates of poverty throughout, especially those over 75. So female are always having higher rates. You can see them. Female always having higher rates. Then finally, standard data. Which data is standing out that once you look, you can easily see. So you can still use that to make another point. Higher rates of poverty in women aged 18 to 24 and 75. women, 18 to 24, you can see it's high here. So it's so high above the men. This is so high above. These ones are close by. Men and female very close. Men and female very close. But this one you can see that the difference is so clear between the men and the female. The same thing. So that is how you come about these answers. So take note, this is not how you're going to organize it. So you make sure you organize only the point. I only wrote this to tell you what inform the things that inform the points that I picked. So you are now going to pick this one by one and write them in continuous writing form. Okay. Um, so that is it for that. So make sure first of all you do general summary of whatever you see in the graphical representation, whether it's a diagram or a chart, bar chart, pie chart. That's the first your first point. Second point will be other important aspects. Then note the special high, special low, similarities, difference, and standard points. Okay. So in subsequent class we are going to be looking at tax 2. So this is tax 1. We'll do uh, more practices on it so that we can be able to effectively learn this. Please, if you have any questions or concerns, drop them in